Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Congratulations to all the Sangat on the Janam Dihara of Tan Tan Baba Buddha Ji. Baba Buddha Ji is one of the greatest Gur Sikhs in our Sikh history. They have served 6 Guru Sahiban from Guru Nanak Dev Ji right up till Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, and they have given Gurgaddi Tilak to 5 of the Gurus. The name Baba that is given to Baba Buddha Ji is such an esteemed title that is given to Sant, Brahmgyani, Mahapurukh, or those who have reached self-realization and are enlightened beings. And Baba Buddha Ji is one of them. There are so many sakhya from the life of Baba Buddha Ji that we can take values from. But today I want to share
Now in Sikhi is a school. You can't be in primary 1, which means I just do Mool Mantar only my whole life. I cannot progress. We have to progress. So if you don't know your Ura, Era, Ed, then you should be learning it. Then progress to reading your Japji Sahib. Progress. I cannot do Jav Sahib. Put in your effort. Kanta bhi lagda koi na lag jave. Hum hove lale gole guru sikha ke. They are 4 types of Sangat. So aam taur te ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਓ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਰ ਸੰਗਤ ਵੀ 4 ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ and they are Sangat which is a general term ਫਿਰ Sat Sangat Sad Sangat and Kusangat. So Sangat ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕੀ ਆ ਸੰਗ and gat ਸੰਗ and that brings us to gati which is moving forward. Okay, ਸੰਗ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕੀ ਆ companion ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਣਾ to be together to spend time with someone or something ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ with whom we progress forward. Now ਸੰਗਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ we have ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵਿਚਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ whom we speak to. But now ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਵਿਚਾਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਅੱਗੇ we have a Google ਬਾਬਾ. ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਫੋਨ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਲੈਪਟਾਪ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸਾਡਾ ਗੈਜਟ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਅਸਲ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਆ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਸੰਗਤ ਚੰਗੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੀ ਆ. It can become good, it can become bad depending on how we use it. ਤੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ what we allow into our mind. We spoke about how 80% of our energy, mental energy gets wasted through our eyes and ears. ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ. ਸੋ ਸੰਗਤ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ all of that will categorize into our sangat. If you are a reader, you love to read, ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਹਨਾ. ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਜੁਲਣਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਆ then the sangat people are going to be your sangat. ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਥਾ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਆ you don't really like to mingle around with people much but ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਥਾ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਆ that one becomes your sangat. Okay, so ਹੁਣ second type of sangat ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ. ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਨ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੈਸੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਵਖਾਣੀ ਹੈ. ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰਿਸਟਿਕ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਾਰਨ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੀ ਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ wherever ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਵਖਾਣੀ where there is only conversation and vichar on ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ. Which means that when you come into Sat Sangat, so let's now understand the definition. Sat kiya. Sat means true. Why Sat? Sat da arth kiya. Now, if we look at things around us, ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੱਖਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਪੱਖਾ ਦੇਖਿਆ. I'm actually quite amazed with the design of this darbar. It's so beautiful. ਆ ਪੱਖਾ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਪਰ 20 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ did you have this pakha? No. And then maybe 10 years down the road, are you going to have the same pakha? No. So, asat ho gaya. Asat. Jiਵੇਂ nir is a negating word. Gurbani de vich nirpau ho gaya, nirvair ho gaya. Is also a negating word. If something is true, sat, you put in the front, it becomes not true. Asat. So everything that's around us is not true because why? It's temporary. ਇਹ ਸਰੀਰ temporary ਆ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਵੀ temporary ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਾਪੜ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ temporary ਆ. It is not true. Sat is only one that is permanent. ਪਿਛਲੇ in the past was the same, in the present is the same and in the future it will still be the same. It will never change. ਉਹੀ ਸਤ ਹੈ. ਤੇ ਸਤ ਕੌਣ ਆ? सतपुरख जिन जानिया सतगुर तिसका नाम. So Satpurkh, there's only Akal Purkh Waheguru who is true, and Satguru who is true. Guru Granth Sahib Ji आद तो लेके मद तो लेके अंत तक has never been changed. So Sat Sangat, that Sangat ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ it will remain true forever, which means that we might not be in this world for long. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਆ, you know, for very long. ਸਾਡਾ time ਤਾਂ very limited. But Sangat, Sat Sangat will always remain, which means that physical तौर ਤੇ we will come and go, but the idea of Sat Sangat will always be there. ਜਿੱਥੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. Okay? In this Sangat, what do people do? What do we do in Sat Sangat? ਕੱਲੇ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ, ਇਤਿਹਾਸ, and you speak about how can I progress in my life. People's lives can be changed because of Sangat. ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੂਰੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਬਦਲ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. That's how impactful Sangat can be. So ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਸਤਗੁਰ ਚਟਸਾਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਤ ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਸਿੱਖਾ. What is ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ? It's a ਚਟਸਾਲ. ਚਟਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕੀ ਆ? ਸਕੂਲ ਆ. So this is a school. ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਹੈਡ ਮਾਸਟਰ ਕੌਣ ਆ? ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ. ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਗੂ ਦ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਕਲਾਸਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਲਾਸ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ. What happens in a school if a student doesn't perform? Do parents and people scold the children? Hey, you never study hard. Okay, that was so good. But the blame will go to who? The teachers. So there's a lot of responsibilities on us sitting at the front here and one running classes and all of that. Because Guru Basa will ask, I put you at the front to teach the students. What have you been doing? Why is the result so bad? Why is no one being inspired to walk on the path of Sikhi? We are answerable. So sometimes I say the stage is a blessing, but it's also a curse at the same time. Because why? Blessing that Guru Sahib has put us here to help people and jod people to Paramatma. पर इत्थे सब तो ज़्यादा साडी जंग हुंदी आ इत्थे स्टेज ते उत्ते. क्यों? Here la we have to fight with ego. People will come. बहुत वधिया. Then that's when the mafia gang leader will come. Homme will come and attack us. तू तो बहुत वधिया आ, तेरे वर्गा कोई नहीं कथा करता, कीर्तन करता. So this is where we fight our battles. So महाराज कहते हैं सत्संगत सतगुर चटसाल है. That Sangat is a school. Now if it's a school, can you stay in primary 1 for 10 years? Cannot. Now in Sikhi is a school. You can't be in primary 1, which means I just do Mool Mantar only my whole life. I cannot progress. We have to progress. So if you don't know your Ura, Era, Edi, then you should be learning it. Then progress to reading your Japji Sahib. Progress. I cannot do Jap Sahib. Put in your effort. ਘੰਟਾ ਵੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਵੇ. ਜਦੋਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫੋਨ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੱਜਦਾ. ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਵੱਜਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ. And who is calling? It's Guru Sahib. Guru Sahib will start calling us. Sometimes we cannot hear. You know, we cannot hear the phone ringing. Maybe vibration mode te rakhya hunda, silent mode te rakhya hunda. Then Sangat will come and tell us, hey, your phone is ringing la. There is Sangat telling us, pick up the call. Pick up the call of Guru Sahib and start walking in the path of Sikhi. Pick up the call and learn what Guru Sahib is trying to tell you. Ki aaja, ethe aaja, mere kol aaja. That's why Sangat is so important to give us that inspiration. ਹੁਣ ਘੰਟੇ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ 10 ਮਿੰਟ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਹੁਣ ਰੇਲ ਗੱਡੀ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ. ਸਮਟਾਈਮ ਯੂ ਡੋਨਟ ਇਵਨ ਨੋ ਲਾਈਕ ਵਾਟ ਆਰ ਯੂ ਸੇਇੰਗ. ਇੰਨੀ ਛੇਤੀ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਸੋ ਮਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਤਸੰਗ ਸਤਗੁਰ ਚਟਸਾਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਤ ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਸਿੱਖਾ. ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ we are learning the virtues of Paramatma. We start to learn about Paramatma and we start to the virtues that are inside of us, they are ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ ਨੇ. We don't get virtues from outside. You know, it's not somewhere where we grab and then we take it or somewhere. Gurbani says, Guna ka hove vasla kadwas lai. So all of us here, we have, you want to call it like a cup or a basket of virtues inside of us. Saaren de vich vakre virtues. Some of us are patient, some of us are kind and gentle, are humble, some of us are caring. Different people have different virtues. And Mara kende ne, come into Sangat and share these virtues with other people. In Sangata, it's a two-way communication. Two-way. Even when it comes to listening to Katha and Kirtan, it's also a two-way communication. Kime? 14 guna bakte de hunde ne, 14 gun srote de hunde ne. There are 14 virtues of the listeners and 14 virtues of the speaker. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Kere gun hunde ne. And if you don't have these virtues, then we cannot categorize as a speaker or a listener as well. And we have to progress forward. Only when the frequency of the listener is the same as the frequency of the speaker, then the exchange of knowledge can happen. जिस संगत विच तुसी अपना बोली जाने अपना करी जाने there's a lot of like chaos, mental chaos and physical bala huha hunda, then it's very difficult for us to focus and concentrate on what's being taught. संगत विच सानू परमात्मा दे गुण सिखण नू मिलदे and we learn about Guru Sahib. What is Guru Sahib's message to us? ਇਹ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ. फिर तीजा आउंदा है साध संगत. साध संगत कै आश्रय प्रभ स्यों रंग लाए. गुरबाणी विच आउंदा है. साध संगत के आश्रय means your support. Now we are seeking the support of साधुआं दी संगत. साधु कौन हुंदे ने? ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ, ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨੀ, ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖ, ਸੰਤ. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਸਿਓ ਰੰਗ ਲਾਏ. ਰੰਗ here means love. With the support of ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ, ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨੀ, ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖ, ਸੰਤ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, we start to develop that love for Paramatma. What they do is they are ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਜਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਜੋਤ ਨੇ. And they are going to give us a little spark of their fire, of their love, and ignite that love within us. ਤੇ ਸਾਧੂਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੰਗ, love ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ. To do sangat of saints, you see how their lifestyle is. Because why? They already win the game of life. And they are not selfish at all. ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ? They win all 3 levels and all. They will U-turn. And they'll help people like me, people like us who are still struggling at level 1. Ayo, how to win this game? How to win? I'm struggling. They will come and help us and they'll give us tips. Hey, I think you need to do this. Maybe you need to change your lifestyle a bit. Ida aa jaap bani da jaap karo. ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦੋ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾਓ, ਇਹ ਗੁਣ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦੋ, ਇਹ ਗੁਣ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾਓ. They tell us how to live our life. They teach us about Atma and Paramatma. They teach us, ਭਾਈ, don't give up. ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਿਆ ਆ, you will be able to experience Paramatma. He says, ਸਾਧੂਆਂ ਨੇ ਨਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, can you help me? It's like we ask for advice. ਸਾਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਮੰਗਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਬਚਨ ਦੋ, ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਜੋ, can you help me have this problem? ਕਦੇ ਸੰਤਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣੇ, ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣੇ. But to hear to their bachan is one thing. And like, ਹਾਂਜੀ. But ਜੇ ਕਮਾਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਚਨ, if you don't put it into practice, you actually don't do it, then it's not going to help you. And Gurbani says this as well. ਜੇ ਕੋ ਬਚਨ ਕਮਾਵੇ ਸੰਤਨ ਕਾ, ਸੋ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਤਰੀਏ. ਸੰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਬਸ ਕੱਲੇ ਸੁਣਨੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਮਾਉਣੇ ਵੀ ਆ. ਕਮਾਉਣਾ means whatever they tell us, we do it. Then what happens? So gur prasadi tariye. Then what happens? Because we put in that effort, Guru di kirpa dena. Gur prasad is through Guru's kirpa, we are saved. And lastly is kusang. ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਕੀ ਆ? ਕੁ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਮਾੜੀ, ਮਾੜੀ ਸੰਗਤ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਫਾਲਤੂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ, ਚੁਗਲੀ, ਨਿੰਦਿਆ, ਈਰਖਾ, ਦੁਬਦਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸਣਾ। ਕੋਈ ਕਹੂਗਾ ਵੀ ਜੇ somebody wants to talk about ਮੈਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ, ਕੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਜੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਦੇਖੀ ਜਾਓ, ਬਾਅਦ ਚ ਦੇਖ ਲਾਂਗੇ। ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸਣਾ। And what does Guru Saheb says about ਕੁਸੰਗਤ? ਮਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਬਹਿ ਸਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਪਾਵੇ, ਦੁੱਖੋ ਦੁੱਖ ਕਮਾ ਬਣੇ। ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ? ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਿਲਦਾ, ਕੱਲਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੀ ਦੁੱਖ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ। ਕੁਸੰਗਤ, ਮਾੜੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ, you want to follow all these weird pages, ਮਾੜੇ ਮਾੜੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਸੁਣਨੇ। ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ speaks says about songs and music as well. ਮੇਰੇ ਮੋਹਨ ਸਰਵਣੀ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸੁਣਾਏ, ਸਾਕਤ ਗੀਤ ਨਾਦ ਧੁਨ ਗਾਵਤ ਬੋਲਤ ਬੋਲ ਅਜਾਏ। ਮੇਰੇ ਮੋਹਨ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਰਵਣੀ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸੁਣਾਏ, do not let my ears hear this. What? ਸਾਕਤ ਗੀਤ ਨਾਦ ਧੁਨ ਗਾਵਤ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਸੁਣਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਗੰਦੇ ਗੰਦੇ ਗਾਣਾ ਸੁਣਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਸੌਂਗ ਸੁਣਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਬੋਲਤ ਬੋਲ ਅਜਾਏ, ਮੇਰੇ ਗੁਣ ਵੀ ਚੱਲ ਗਏ, ਮੇਰਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਕੀਤਾ, ਚੰਗਾ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਚੰਗਾ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਗਿਆ, ਵਿਅਰਥ ਗਿਆ, ਵੇਸਟਡ। ਕਿਉਂ? ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਅਸਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ। ਸਮਝਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੁਣ ਲਿਆ, ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ, ਨਵਾਂ ਸੌਂਗ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ, ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੁਣ ਲਓ। But remember, every single information that we take into our mind, it will stay there forever. ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਡਰਾਵਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਘਰ ਦੇ ਡਰਾਵਰ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ? Sometimes we have that one drawer in house where we put all the ganda, all the unwanted letters, whatever news, whatever, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ, ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਦੇਣਾ, ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਥੁਣ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ। And we don't open that drawer. ਫਿਰ ਮਨ ਚ ਨਾ ਕਰਦਾ, ਜੀ ਕਰਦਾ, I think I need to spring clean my house. Then you look at the drawer and go like, ayo, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਦਿਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਫਾਈ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੂੰ। Our mind is also like that. There's one drawer with all of that ganda, unwanted letters, subscription letters, unwanted bills. And once you open that, that's it. It's going to take you such a long time to clean up that drawer. So ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਗੰਦ ਨਾ ਲਿਆਓ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ unsubscribe ਕਰ ਦਿਓ। ਮਾੜੇ songs ਨੂੰ, ਗੰਦਿਆਂ ਗੀਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਗੰਦੇ words ਨੂੰ unsubscribe ਕਰ ਦਿਓ। So first thing you need to go home when you do this, if you have social media like me, go and unfollow pages that don't serve you any benefit. Unfollow ਕਰ ਦਿਓ। Okay, so ਮਾਰਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੁਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਮਾਰੇ? कबीर साकत संग ना कीजिए, दूर है जाइए भाग। उसी भगत कबीर जी कहते साकत संग ना कीजिए। If you see some कुसंगत coming towards you, sometimes they might even be your family members or friends and all of that. हमारा भगत कबीर जी कहते ने दूर है जाइए भाग, दूरों देख के भज जाओ। Find a reason and run away from them. Why? बासन कारो परसिए तो कछ लागे दाग। कहते जरा भांडा ना गंदा भांडा, you know, तुसी भांडे दे थल्ले काला काला हुंदा है ना, ਭਾਂਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਲਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਲਾਓ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਲਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ the suit, ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੱਥ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਾਂਡੇ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਖਾਣਾ ਬਣਾਇਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੱਥ ਹੀ ਲਾਇਆ, ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੱਥ ਵੀ ਕਾਲਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਾਂਜ ਕੇ ਦੇਖੋ। now you be wasting so much of your time just cleaning your hands of that dog when it's not even your mistake in the first place. Why? Guru Sahib is telling us ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। So you think by ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੁਣ ਲੈਣੇ, ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਮੂੰਹ you know ਰੱਖ ਲੈਣੇ, ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਰੱਖ ਲੈਣੇ, ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੂਰਖ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਸਮਝ ਆ ਗਈ? ਮੂਰਖ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ? ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੂੰਹ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ, ਮੂੰਹ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ, ਤਾਂ ਮੂਰਖ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੂਰੇ ਜਾਈਏ ਭਾਗ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਤੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਮਾੜੇ ਕਰਮ ਲੈਣੇ ਹੋ? Don't allow it in the first place. What's the worst can happen? ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਦਿਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਚੁਗਲੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਾੜਾ ਆਖ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪੇ everybody has got their life to go on with. Everybody will forget. So how to recognize sangat? ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ recognize ਕਰੀਏ? When you feel inspired. You feel inspired and motivated and you feel so uplifted कि बस after this I'm going to bring a change to my life. You have to be a krantikari. Krantikari ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ? ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। I'm going to do this and I don't care what's going to happen. I'm going to walk on the path of Sikhi. I don't care what the world says. I want to do it. And that's the energy, the motivation you get from Sangat. And Mara ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ sometimes in Sangat what happens is we cannot have this cult mentality, group mentality ki ਇਹ ਮੇਰੀ ਛੋਟੀ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ you cannot come in because you're not like us and we cannot mix around with other people. No, then it becomes a cult mentality. Sangat is not like that. Sangat Guru di a, which Sangat har prabh vasya ji. So when somebody comes into Sangat, ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਆ to make them feel inclusive. It's a two-way communication. Make them feel inclusive as well. ਤੇ ਆਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ just because we are amritaris se non amritare ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਣਾ, non amritaris you feel like oh ਇਹ ਬਾਲੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਬਾਬੇ ਆ ਗਏ, ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ, you don't want to mix around with us as well. ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਕੱਠੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰੀ ਜੇ ਗੁਣੇ ਕਰੀ, ਇਕੱਠੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ. ਸੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ now ਸਵਾਲ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਆ sometimes especially with the youth, my benti is it's so difficult for us to get Sangat to come to Gurdwara. Now with the advancements of technology, live streams, YouTube and everything, we don't see the purpose of coming to Gurdwara. I myself, personally, I don't like live streams. Mainu personally aake interact pasand karna, I like to interact with Sangat. Mainu pasand hai ki Sangat de naal personally interact karna. Kyun? ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ personally Sangat ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਕਥਾ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ, the feeling is different. You get to see the emotions on people's faces. You get to feel the energy of people feeling ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ online ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ. So ਇੱਥੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਿੱਖਣਗੇ, ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਿੱਖਣਗੇ ਪਟਕਾ ਪਾਉਣਾ, ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਣਾ, ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਆ, ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਉੱਠਦੇ ਨੇ, ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸੌਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਚੌਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀ ਆ, ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਿੱਖਣਗੇ. So you might have the advancements of katha kirtan on YouTube and live streams, but meri benti hai sangat ji that to come and do sangat in a gurdwara, there is nothing like that. You still need to come to and do sangat in a gurdwara. Je sara kuch online kar dita, fir Guru Saheb de darshan kaun karu? Then Guru Saheb nu bhi online kar diye fir? No. There's nothing like doing physical sangat of Gursikhs and Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So aap ji sare nu benti hai, sangat which sangat har prabh vasya ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, last Sakhi before end, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, Agra to sangat aayi. They don't know how Guru Arjan Dev Ji look like, but the Gurgaddi has been given to Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Agra to sangat aayi and Guru Arjan Dev Ji found out, and Mata Ganga Ji found out ki duro sangat aa rahi hai. They went and met them halfway. ਤੇ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਫਿਰ ਮਾਲਿਸ਼ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ, ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕਾਇਆ, and this ਸੰਗਤ they didn't know that this Guru Arjan Dev Ji and Mata Ganga Ji, ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਆਮ ਸੰਗਤ ਹੋਣਗੇ. The next day they left together to Amritsar and all the sangat started thinking ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ, but who's going to take care of our chappal? Remember chappal chor? Who's going to take care of our chappਲਾਂ? Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj ਹਜੇ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ. Guru Sahib said, I will do that ਸੇਵਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰੋ, I will take care of your slippers. And ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ, ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ. ਅੰਦਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਗਏ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤਖਤ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੈਠਾ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਖਤ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ, ਬਿਰਾਜਮਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ. And Baba Buddha Ji ਨੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, and the sangat asking to Baba Buddha Ji ਕਿ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨੇ? We came from all the way to have darshan of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, but where are they? And Baba Buddha Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਮਿਲਣ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਗਏ ਸੀ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਗਏ? And Baba Buddha Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਚਲੇ. It was a big group of sangat. ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਗਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ doing ਜੋੜਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ of all the ਚੱਪਲਾਂ of the sangat. ਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੁੱਢਾ ਜੀ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ the sangat came all the way to have your darshan to meet you, ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj looked at Baba Buddha Ji and there was a chappal in their hand and said, Baba Buddha Ji dekho, don't you think you can see that this is the chappal of Guru Nanak Dev Ji? ਇਹ Guru Nanak Dev Ji chappal ਹੋਣਗੇ which sangat har pravasya ji. When you come in sangat, sometimes we don't know, there might be some Gursikh Brahmgyani Mahaprukh Sangatam de vich who's already one with Paramatma, and you have a chance to do their seva. And imagine doing their seva, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਤਰ ਜਾਓ।
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you can take that step back for a moment and just see it for what it really is, you start to detach yourself from ideas of helping others, doing good for others, making them think in the same way as you. There is no room for the ego to feel a sense of superiority because of their own achievement in spirituality, and there's zero room for judgment towards anyone else. And this is where we need to start thinking about in our own life, have we ever felt superior, better, higher because we're on a spiritual journey or because of anything that we've achieved in our life? When are the moments that we've looked down on others? Sometimes when I receive a message on social media, I might watch a video of someone who is falling down or making a mistake or doing something or acting in a way that I don't feel is in line with how I would act. And then you see all of your friends on your social media chats and they're openly saying how foolish this person is, how stupid this person is, how ignorant some people can be. You can't believe that there are people like this in the world. And it's at those moments that I think we need to take a step back and realize that nobody is acting in a way that is in their control. Absolutely everyone is acting based on what they feel is right. Even if you think someone is doing the absolute worst thing in the world, even at that moment, you have to realize that for that person, what they think they're doing is absolutely right. And why they think they're doing that is based on years of conditioning, years of them living the life that they've lived. And we can never judge someone else because we've not lived their life. We've not walked in their shoes. We don't know all the things that have impacted them and molded them to become the person that they've become. So this idea of judging who we think we're better, whether we think we're better than someone else, is something that isn't just about spirituality, isn't just about things in life where you feel you're better than someone else. It's about reflecting at every opportunity where you see there's a chance for you to think about someone else, even if they're acting in the worst way, in ways that you could never imagine yourself doing. Use that as an opportunity to awaken yourself to realize that, hey, that could have been me. I could be that person acting in that way. Not me in the life that I'm in now, but me if I was born into the same house, into the same circumstances as that person there. So realize that we're all helpless. No one is actually capable of doing anything. Everyone is living out their actions based on all of the influences in their life, all the things that have led to them becoming who they are as a person. So there really is no room for judgment and ego on the spiritual path. And one of the questions that often arises when we're looking at other people and where we've made certain choices that we think we've made in our life to follow a certain path, to have a certain belief system, to have certain values, or to live by certain principles, is that we try to educate other people to also live by those. And this is something that's really common with parents, is they often ask, how do I teach this wisdom to my children? How do I help other people? And the message coming time and time again from the Guru is, this is nothing to do with you. This is all to do with grace. So you might have really good intentions to try and help other people, and you might want to put a lot of effort to help others. And while that's a great thing to do because you're sharing the wisdom that's benefited your life, you want other people to benefit from that, that's you giving your time and effort to improve someone's life, you need to have a sense of detachment on whether they will be able to receive it or not, whether they'll be ready to pick up that wisdom itself. Your effort is to try, but you shouldn't get disheartened if someone else isn't ready to receive. If someone's not ready to take this wisdom on board, then that's not on you. You've put that effort in to try and help them. And you have to reflect that there was a time in your life where you didn't understand this wisdom. There was a time in your life where you weren't ready to live according to these principles. You didn't always think in this way. And in the same way that we shouldn't judge someone else because they're not ready, we also shouldn't get disheartened if they're not going to be the person who's ready to receive this right now. And that becomes a really difficult thing for us to accept, because we feel that everyone should be living according to our principles. We feel like our children must and should carry on our belief systems, our traditions, our understanding, the wisdom that's helped us. We have to do everything that we can to help them. And what we're not including in that equation is the element of grace. What we're forgetting is that we're not responsible for how we think now. We're not responsible for how we've been blessed to have this understanding in our life. And so in the same way, we need to understand that if they are to receive that wisdom, it really is the Guru's blessing. It's the blessing of the enlightener, which is that spirit of oneness giving itself in the form of wisdom to our minds. And remember, it's not our mind, it's the mind of the oneness. So when you take a step back and you see it for the play that it really is, you realize it's just God playing with God, God being the invisible oneness, God being the physical manifested form, God being the ignorance and God being the wisdom, God deluding one part of itself and then creating the enlightener to enlighten another part of itself. So it's this beautiful game that if you can take that step back for a moment and just see it for what it really is, you start to detach yourself from ideas of helping others, doing good for others, making them think in the same way as you. Yes, by all means, we should try and help them, but don't have this grasp on this idea that they must be like that, because it's really all down to divine grace. No one can be forced to be awakened. Nobody can be trained, nobody can be encouraged, and nobody can be shown so deeply that we make them change. The only thing that we can do is that we can, if we feel we know anything, if we feel that this wisdom has benefited our life in any way, we can show it to a few other people. We can try and pass it on to whoever we can. We can try and expose our friends, our family, our children to this wisdom. But we cannot be responsible whether they will get it or not, because every person is individual, and who knows what journey they need to go on for them to come out the other side, to realize the things that you realize in order to be on this path yourself. Who knows what they need to go into. So we can show people, we can encourage people to understand it, but we must take a step back and realize this is all the Guru's grace. Nothing is happening outside of the grace. So we have to have a part of our mind that just surrenders to accepting that this is all part of the divine system. And remember, that's the biggest part of your divine experience. You surrender to everything that is happening in life. And when you surrender, you begin to understand that everything is the divine flow.
Very much. I'm particularly proud and happy about the young filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, producers that are coming up behind my generation. In particular, Barry Jenkins. Young people understand this young man made 10, 15, 20 short films before he got the opportunity to make Moonlight. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly,
your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them. When your excuses make you feel a little bit better about the fact that you didn't execute on what you needed to execute on, then they can make you feel better, but they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all.
Why does discipline equal freedom?
Because the more discipline you have in your life, the more freedom you will end up with. So if you lack the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up being a slave to disease. If you lack the discipline to work hard, save your money, you will end up a slave to finances. If you lack the discipline to manage your time correctly, you will end up with no free time. If you have self-discipline, if you have the discipline to save your money and work hard and invest your money properly, if you have the discipline to manage your time correctly and not waste a bunch of time, if you have the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up with freedom. If you want freedom in your life, you have to have discipline. Because if you're a kid right now and you're eating Doritos off your belly, I know they taste good and there's some immediate gratification, and I get that. But I'm gonna tell you, it starts right now. Throw that bag of Doritos away. Get rid of it. Go do some push-ups. Go spend $12 at the hardware store and hang up a pull-up bar in your room and start doing pull-ups. And if you can't do one pull-up, hang on that bar. And you're gonna start to get a little bit stronger. You're gonna start to get a little bit healthier. You're gonna start to get more focused. You're gonna start to become more resilient. And you're gonna start to understand the world better. And you're gonna start to progress in every aspect of your life. And you'll see that if you have that kind of discipline right now, you're gonna end up with freedom. Because you're sad, now you're gonna make a bunch of bad decisions because you're sad. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You're sad, okay. You get emotional sometimes, okay. Got it. Now, get control of your emotions and carry on with your life. And sometimes you're gonna get hit with those waves, and that's okay. No, at a certain point, you say, okay, my emotions are now leading me down the wrong path. I'm in control. I'm not gonna allow my emotions to make my decisions. They're in the calculus. I'm not saying take your emotions out of the calculus, but they have to be one component of your calculus, not the whole equation. You can't pull them out of there or they'll bite you, but you can't make them the overwhelming denominator of everything that you do, or it's gonna be problematic. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress. And worst case scenario, you figure out that you walked the wrong direction. Okay, now you can go walk in the other direction. And that's gonna be fine. But standing there lost and not doing anything is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death. Don't let that happen. I had to condition people to take action, even in the SEAL teams. Even a young SEAL leader who you would think would be by nature aggressive and an action taker, you put them in a pressure situation where there's not a ton of information and they need to make a decision, they don't want to act either. So one of the things that I would teach was that their default mode was to be aggressive. Their default mode was to take action. I would teach that. Same thing we just discussed. I wouldn't say, hey, look, that means you have to take action, but your default setting should be, I'm gonna do something. Because I'd have a young SEAL officer and there'd be some training mission and there'd be a problem in a building and there'd be a bunch of paintball flying around in there, and he wouldn't want to go solve that problem. He'd back away from that problem. And I would have to go like push him in the back and say, you see that problem over there, you gotta go solve that problem. It's not gonna go away. You gotta be aggressive. That's gotta be your default mode, is to take action and make things happen. Because most human instinct is to wait. Most human instinct is to hesitate. Most human instinct is to let things go longer and stick with the status quo. And that seems to be on the front, the lowest risk in the situation is to not do anything. It usually appears to be the lowest risk. So to train people to, oh, I need to take risk, some level of risk, take action, because in the long run, I say 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 times, action is better than inaction.
If someone was on the extreme end of that disease of excuse and blame and all of those things, is there anything that you could do or you would advise them to do to kind of walk back from there, to get over the other side? Because I think we can all think of people in our lives, and maybe even ourselves at times, who have gotten into a chronic pattern of using excuses and blame as a form of self-defense.
Well, unfortunately, what happens a lot, and you may or may not have seen this, but I would assume you've seen this at some point in your life, people, and this is a term, there's a term, it's rock bottom, right? This is a term that we hear for someone that's addicted, someone that's an alcoholic, someone that's physically let themselves go, someone that's put themselves into a situation with their finances or their work or whatever, where they reach rock bottom. But when the excuses all go away and people can actually confront the fact that this is all because of me, and it hurts, but is also unbelievably empowering, because if these problems are because of me, then I'm capable of fixing these problems. So even though extreme ownership hurts and is painful, it's also liberating, because now you have control over your fate and over your destiny, and that is a glorious thing.
Are excuses the opposite? Excuses and blame, is that the opposite of extreme ownership?
That is the opposite of extreme ownership. Extreme ownership is, this went wrong, this failed, didn't accomplish this, and it's not the fault of my boss, it's not the fault of my girlfriend, it's not the fault of my parents, it's not the fault of the weather, it's my fault. And I'm gonna take ownership of it, and I'm gonna fix it. That's what extreme ownership is. And this is a very difficult thing to do because it hurts. Because when you look around at your life, and you look around at your job and your financial situation and your relationship and your physical health, and when you look at all those things and all the problems that you may have with those things, and you say, the reason I have all those problems is because of me, that can hurt, that can sting. And a lot of times our ego rejects that and makes excuses and lies. And then we don't have to change anything. And then nothing changes. What you learn to do is, okay, I'm gonna go forward. I can't get out of this. I'm gonna go forward. I'm not gonna quit, so I'm gonna go forward. Bring it on. If I'm in the woods, which is where you are right now, you're in the woods and you don't know where to go because the wife's not there anymore, the job's not there anymore, you don't know where to go right now. So if you're in the woods and you don't know where to go, start walking. What you learn to do is, okay, I'm gonna go forward. I can't get out of this. I'm gonna go forward. I'm not gonna quit, so I'm gonna go forward. Bring it on. And I think if there's anything that you learn, it's to keep pushing through things that suck.
Can you teach that? Let's go. We're gonna jump back in the water. Let's go.
I think that's one of the few things that you learn in basic SEAL training is to shrug your shoulders and go forward. This is just something that's gonna suck and you're gonna have to push through it.